Hey, welcome back to 7 Minute Stories. I am here with Kimberly Price.
Hello.
Would you prefer the full Kimberly or just Kim?
Oh, whatever.
Kimmy, Kim. All right.
Kimmy.
Kim. All right. So today we're going to be talking about your 7 minute story and just focusing on what God's been doing lately and how far He's brought you in just a very short time, I feel like. All right. So why don't we start at the beginning? Tell me what it was like growing up. Did you guys grow up in the church? What was your experience with that?
Well, there was a church. So, I'm from North Carolina. Okay. I'm from North Carolina. And my aunt's husband at the time, because he passed away, he was the preacher.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to this church. I forgot what it's called now. But I never really understood, because they had, children's church, kind of. They had it from different ages, and I never really understood, why they separated it, why the adults had their own, and why the kids had their own, I never understood why they never wanted us all to be together and understand the same thing. Mm. And I never liked that, so I never really paid attention. And I loved going to church with my grandma because I love my grandma, but I didn't like the way they did things.
Did they use the flannel graph, or they put the person on the cloth thing and it stuck up there, or did they actually use video to teach you?
No, so basically all they did was preach the whole time.
Oh,
they did
sit still, listen to me preach.
No, that's all it was. And then they would send us to children's church to where all we did was just do worksheets. And I sit at school for hours on end. I don't want to come to church and do worksheets. I want to learn about God, and that's not going to get me to learn about God. Yeah. And I didn't like that. And then after that, we just didn't go to church. We just didn't really go to church, and things got bad. My home was really toxic, bad, and it affected me a lot. And then we had moved in with my grandparents. And
is that when you moved here to Gardner?
No, it was way before. I moved out of my home. Me, my mom, and my brother did when I was about 8 or 9, and we moved there for about 6 months. And then that was toxic. And then I started self-harming, and that's what I used to cope, but it didn't really cope. And I noticed that I look at it now, it's pointless. All it does is leave scars on yourself, and it just reminds you. It's just like a reminder. Mm-hmm. It's pointless. It's not really something that copes with it. It's just something that's to remind you what you went through. And I lived there, and I was never home there. I had this friend named Kendall. She was a bad influence, though, but at the time, it felt right. Mm-hmm. To be her friend, it felt really right, but it wasn't. But it's because, she was, my escape. Mm-hmm. I stayed at her house all the time. I never went home. It got to the point where my uncle would say I did stuff, and I wasn't even there. And I was like, no, I didn't do that. And then we moved back in with my grandfather, and then things were still not right. And so we moved back out, and we moved in with my grandparents again. And then I went back to that school, and then the school was just not it. It's just the people there are not the people that you want to hang out with. They're the people that will bring you down no matter how you feel in life. If you're the happiest person in the world, they will ruin that. And so those people didn't really help much with my depression. And so we went to Puerto Rico. That's where my grandfather lived. And then we stayed there for 9 months or so. I broke my face. It's just things just boom, boom, boom. There was no break.
Right.
And then we went to Florida for 5 days or so, and then we went back to North Carolina to my grandparents. And my dad came here. Well, he went to Texas, and then he came here.
That is a lot of moving.
I know.
So it must be hard to like have friends if you're moving all around all the time.
That was really my problem when I got here, because I'm like, because we lived with my grandparents and then we moved out here. Well, we came to visit, and then my grandparents' house got really, really toxic, and it's to the point where you couldn't function in that house. Like, and I'm surprised I didn't fail school at that house, but I didn't. I kept A's and B's. And then we moved here. We moved here with my dad. Well, my grandfather, and then like when I first got here, my mom's like, if you don't like it, then we can go back. And then we get here, and it's like 3 days, and I'm like, I don't like it. I want to go back. And then the mom's like, we're not going back. Like something was telling her like I don't know what it was, but she was like, we're not going back. Like she changed her mind. And
Well, what's different? Because it seems like you said, you bounced around a lot, but it seems like you're kind of a centerpiece of a group of girls now that you were helping out, doing those things. So obviously you found at least a small group of friends here at the high school. And then, like you said,
the friends that I have now, Anna, I've known since 6th grade. Kobe, I've known since 6th grade. Kinsey, I've known since 7th grade.
and all 4 of you girls started to have kind of a radical experience with Jesus about 8 months ago, something like that.
9 months.
Yeah.
9 months.
Tell me a little bit about what was happening in your life that started to change.
So 8th grade, well, it was really 7th grade, I got into this relationship. And it's just like I had no control. Like I knew that I had control and that I can use it. It's just like I felt like not motivated to. So I just let him do whatever he wanted. I just let him treat me however he wanted. And then I knew that he didn't actually want to be together. And so I finally said something. And then we broke up. And then I got really depressed. I broke my ankle. I started passing out. And we found out about Hashimoto's and stuff, and then it just got bad from there on that subject to where I ended up in ICU. And then Mike and my mom, because my body was shutting down, like there was nothing that was helping it. And then my mom and Mike got on the phone and prayed together, because my mom's always told me if there's more than one gathered, God will always be there. And then from that point on, I started going up, like getting better, and to where I didn't have to come home on a breathing machine or an IV thingy on my arm. And so about 4 or 5 days after, my mom said, y'all have a prayer session. And I didn't know what that was. I was like, what's that? And first I was like, I didn't want to do that. But I was like, whatever. I'm
It's
not
like people are going to pray for you.
That's what she told me.
You'll be fine.
I was like, okay, cool. And then we got prayed over. I had a breakthrough. And then, because I didn't, I believed in God, but I felt like I was, mad at him. Like, I felt like I was being punished because of everything. And I didn't really understand him at the time because of the fact that the church didn't really teach me right. And then, so... Tell
me about that breakthrough. Like you said, you had a breakthrough. What was it?
There's this there was this girl in my prayer session named Casey, or I forgot her name. That may be it. And she had said she got something that I didn't believe. I went there, and I got it, but I didn't believe. And then I just started, and I don't know what it was. It's just that really got to my heart, and I just broke. And then after that prayer session, I felt the lightest that I've ever felt my whole entire life, because I grew up too fast. I always felt like I was responsible for everything. I had to do everything perfect. It had to be perfect. And then I started going to youth. I went to church. I started going to youth. And at first, I was like, cool, I didn't really want to do it, but I was like, you know what?
There's games and snacks.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And then, I got a word one day, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I started,
What do you mean you got a word?
I forgot. It was in someone's prayer session. I think it was Anna's. I got a word.
What does that feel like?
So it's like a voice inside your head, but it sounds like you, but you know it's not you. Like you can feel it, and
That's a good description of that.
usually when it's God's voice, it repeats and repeats and repeats until He knows that you are listening, until He knows that
You're
you
like,
know.
I got it. I
I was
got
like,
it.
all right, I got it. And then I got it, and I was like, that's cool. And then and Mike had said something before the prayer session about words and stuff, and I was like, cool, whatever, what's that? I don't really care. And then I cared. I was just like, okay, like I'm not gonna
Yeah,
get
you
that.
don't have the context for that.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna get that. And then I got one. I was like, cool. And then that's when I really started paying attention. And then I started talking to Evan again. And like I was like I loved God. I was into him, you know. But then after me and Evan, like I knew we were not gonna work. It was just like a whatever thing. And then after that, I've been so down to earth with God. Like I talk to him all the time. I get so many words, visions. I can feel people. That happened at youth camp. We went to youth camp, and then I asked for a gift, and I said I want more, like I want more, and then he gave me the gift. When we were on,
So when you say that, you mean that like basically you can tell what somebody's.
I can tell
You're like, man, you're really struggling with anger. Like you can feel that.
I can feel them. Yeah,
That's
I
good.
can feel them spiritually, and I can feel them like how they're feeling, not spiritually. And it's just been boom, boom, boom after since with God. And it's honestly the best experience I've ever had in my life. Prayer sessions are amazing.
What's the difference, do you think, for somebody your age to hear people talk like, oh yeah, when God speaks to me, and you're like, you're expecting a burning bush, you're expecting, something like a voice from heaven. What do you think is the difference when you can actually hear from God?
Well, when you really visualize like God speaking to you, you think like you're gonna hear some guy's voice. But really it's just your voice just repeating over and over again until he knows that you know it. And that's the difference. I mean, usually when you hear that, you're just like, oh cool, like he's gonna speak to me, he's gonna have a conversation with me, but it's gonna be a man's voice, and that's what you look for. But really it's just a voice that keeps repeating. He wants to know that you know that's what he wants you to do.
Well, I always think that that's a pivotal experience for people, because it's like, yeah, there's this God, he's kind of up here somewhere, but it's different when you actually talk to him.
It is. It's really different, because now that when I look at myself now, like as I am now, and I look back and I'm like, wow, like that's a different person. God changes you so much to where you don't even know who you were then. And it is so amazing because you're moving even when you don't think you are.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just go up to someone and tell them you look really nice that day. God loves you, and it just changes their whole demeanor. Like last week at youth, I prayed over this guy named Dawson, and I could feel him. So it just changed his whole demeanor. Like he was happier and everything. Like God, he's amazing. He's definitely my idol. I want to be just like him. And it's just been the best experience I've ever had. Best experience.
Well, thanks for coming on and sharing your story.
All right.
We'll see you guys here next time on 7 Minute Stories.